Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bright Spots. I am so excited that you've decided to join us here this evening for another incredible guest coming to us from across the pond over in the UK in Scotland, and I'm really excited to introduce her to you. But before we get started, a couple of housekeeping notes. As you know, this is a live interactive show, so we want you to comment, send us some comments down below. Let us know you're tuning in, where you're tuning in from, and how you heard about Bright Spots. We want to talk to you, so if you have questions for our guest, be sure you throw those out there so that our guest can answer your questions. We know that it's going to be a great show, but it's not a great show unless you're here with us. So please be sure you interact with us today on our show. Without further ado, allow me to introduce to you JJ Stenhouse. JJ is known as the Practical Alchemist, as an empowerment and transformation coach, medical intuitive, and spiritual counselor. JJ works mostly with women who are on the journey of self-development, who have tried it all and still haven't found that pot of gold. Women are tired of the same old results from affirmations, seminars, and self-help books. They come to JJ for guidance to recalibrate to the frequency of their own gold standard within, so they can create their own pot of gold and experience more ease, joy, and flow in their life. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the studio, JJ Stenhouse.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What a lovely intro.
Well, it is great to have you here in the Bright Spots studio, JJ. So give us a little idea of your background. Tell us, who is JJ Stenhouse?
Oh, well, that's, yeah. How long have we got? No, seriously, short version. I might not have a Scottish accent, but I am Scottish and moved back to my homeland, as it were, about 3 years ago. And I'm loving being back here. I was a journalist. Some people say once a journalist, always a journalist. But, you know, I stopped working in international news and current affairs some time ago and focused more on coaching. I've always been able to work with energy. I've always been medical intuitive. I think that's the term for it, although that's not what I thought of when I was younger and was helping my pets feel a little better and that sort of thing. So, yeah, I've always had that ability to work with energy. I've always been very much in the nature space, the environmental space, the food as medicine space. But then I also had this double life. Well, I am a Gemini. I had this double life as a hard-bitten journalist in news and current affairs. The two couldn't coexist any longer. And I sort of plumped for the more natural way of life. And I've done a lot of coaching, I've had a lot of coaching, and I've also learned a lot of modalities, different modalities, which inform what I do now. But very much what I'm doing now is a method of, or not even a method of, but a way of life that brings us back into connection with nature. And that's the alchemy. That's where alchemy lies. That's where we find our gold.
So, you know, the world has been in a state of massive change. There's been so much going on in the last year across the globe. What is your advice to people to navigating that change and basically riding the surf, riding the wave of that change into the next whatever comes? What would your advice be?
Yeah, the next whatever comes. What is coming? We don't know. I call it an inside and outside job. So first of all, the earth is changing. We've noticed a lot of changes, some good, some bad. And the earth is actually changing in terms of vibration and frequency. And we have to learn we have to adapt to that. We have to get ourselves in shape to embrace that. Now, what that means in my way of looking at it and the way I work is that we have to be very conscious of what we're doing. what we're putting into and onto our bodies, how our bodies are, keeping our bodies fit, but also being very conscious about how we do business, how we interact with the world. I think it's very important for us to reconnect to the natural world, because that's ultimately what is moving into a much higher frequency, if you like, and something that we'll hopefully be moving with. And I think if we're eating junk food and we're consuming junk in every single way, we're doing ourselves a real disservice, and we're not going to be able to have that strength, that inner strength, to move forward and move with those higher frequencies. I hope that makes a bit of sense.
Oh, it absolutely does. And you talk a little bit about clearing away the things that are holding us back, and kind of cleansing ourselves. So tell us a little bit about that. What does that process look like?
Yeah, well, we have all sorts of toxicities around us and inside us. And some of those toxicities arrive from thought, belief. And really, it's a question of shifting our beliefs, clearing our thoughts. And actually, do you know, one of the simplest things that you can do every day, and I do this now every morning, is to just sit in silence and just clear thought and allow whatever our nature, our inner being wants us to do to come up and forward. Because it's really important now, I think, for us to embrace our true selves, find out what that true self is and embrace it. And the main way of doing that, in my experience, is to just sit in silence and allow whatever comes up to come up, and trust that, because each of us has an innate knowing in our being, and we just have to trust that to come up, and then we need to follow that. So one of the simplest things to do, sit in silence at some point for a while every day. It need only be 5 minutes, but just letting all those thoughts go. And some people would say that's meditation. Well, yeah, kind of. But people get very hung up on meditation. People get very stressed about meditation. You know, people say, oh, I don't think I do it right. Well, no, you do. Just sitting and clearing your mind, clearing your head, and tuning into your body, tuning into that core inside you. That's a really good way to start clearing away all that toxicity that we might have built up within us.
Okay, and you say that your target or your basic audience, most of your audience is women who are looking maybe for what's missing, and they need to recalibrate. So what does recalibration look like? How does a woman go about, okay, so we're gonna think about things, we're gonna sit in quiet, and we're gonna think about things. And then as those thoughts come to us, what do we do with them? How do we recalibrate and start looking for that pot of gold, if you will?
Yeah. Well, it's important just to not get hung up on thoughts. Thoughts come from all kinds of places, and they aren't necessarily even yours. It's maybe something that somebody else has planted into your head. So it's a really good thing to sit, notice what comes into your mind, and don't judge it. Just notice that it's popped up, and notice how you feel about that thought. Does it feel good? Does it feel a bit bad? Where does it feel a bit bad in your body? And work with that. It's something that I take people through. Where are you feeling whatever you're feeling when you have that thought? So is that something that you want to go with, or is it something that you want to let go of? Because we can just let go of thoughts and beliefs that don't serve us. Now, I trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and there are some fantastic processes within that help people just recalibrate their belief systems. And that's something that can be done, of course. But the more you tune into yourself, the more you tune into your inner being, the more able you are to discern for yourself what's right for you and what isn't. It's about reclaiming your sovereignty as a human being, and understanding that you have the power and you have the knowledge, and then being able to stand in that power and say, no, this is how I am, this is what I'm going to do, and that's it. Now, physically, we might not be able to do that so easily if our bodies aren't. Think of our bodies as a container for an energy, a frequency. So we all have that gold frequency, that inner fabulousness inside us. But if our bodies are weak, if we're not looking after our bodies, if we're not eating well and making sure that we have the correct nutrition for us, because everybody's different and everybody has different needs in terms of food and nutrition. But if we're not doing that, then it's more difficult to maintain that frequency and to reach that gold inside us. Now, that's not to judge anybody. We're all different. But, these are some of the processes.
So as we start this work of recalibration, and how do we know when we have found our pot of gold? How do we know, or is it a process that continues throughout our life? Are we continuously recalibrating? When do you know that you are on the right track, I guess?
Oh, I think you know when you're on the right track, right? It's just something that you know. Again, trusting yourself. When you learn to trust yourself and your knowledge and not anybody else's. This isn't school where you're told, lots of rules and you have to abide by them. You know what's right for you. You know when you're on the right track. You can feel it. You feel more vibrant. You feel more connected. You feel more alive. So that's when you start to realize, oh yeah, okay, I'm on the right track here. But is it ever done? No, I don't think so. I think that, the spirituality talks a lot about ascension and, people finding that nirvana. I think that's been a bit of a disservice for us over the years. I think we don't quite ever find that, but the joy is in living to the best of our potential right now, right here, and moving in alignment with nature, because that's part of our power. We are nature. So making that reconnection is so important.
So I'm curious, do you also teach as far as grounding? I know there's a lot of talk out there about grounding and being in touch with nature and being, going outside and standing in the grass in your bare feet. Is that something that is part of your process as well? I've heard a lot of that here lately, and I don't know if it's because of the pandemic and everyone's stressed out, so we're trying to get back to nature. But is that something that is part of your process as well?
Oh, Laurie, yeah. I tend to steer away from the word teaching.
Okay.
But I help. I think I enable. I help people to find what they need to find. But oh yeah, I am always barefoot.
Me too.
In fact, just recently, I've started swimming in the sea, and I am going to now do that as a daily practice, hopefully, right through the year. Now, here in Scotland, it's 12 degrees today, I think, Celsius. I'm not quite sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's not. It's warmish. It's warm in the sun. It's a beautiful sunny day, but the water isn't warm. This is not the Caribbean. It's not, somewhere really hot and beautiful. But the health benefits, and especially now for swimming in clear, open water, just wonderful. I feel so good when I come out of there. And there's that connection. Water is so much a part of our lives. And it's so beautiful to connect with that. So I know there's an upsurge in wild swimming, as they call it. And people who are lucky enough to live near a river or a stream or a lake, yeah, as long as it's clean, please do start swimming in the water. Start going for those lovely cold swims, even if it's freezing cold. It's so good for you. Walking barefoot, absolutely, is a great way to connect with the earth. And there are microorganisms in soil as well that are great to get into and around our bodies. Yeah, all of that. Forest bathing. I don't know if that's something you've heard of, but going into wooded areas, forest areas, and just breathing deeply and inhaling, because the trees actually give off a chemical. It's like a pheromone, which is really good for us. It calms us, it de-stresses us. And connect to those trees, give them a hug. You know, tree hugging used to be a bit of a joke, but actually it's not really. It's really very nice.
I love it. I have this vision now of you in the forest hugging a big tree. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So JJ, I'd love to take a moment and share with our viewers your website. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can let us know a little bit about it and what folks can expect when they connect with you.
Okay, my website is jjsalchemy.com. And you can go onto there. That's it. Thank you. You can go on there. You can book an exploratory session with me, and we can chat about how we might work together. That's always open to everybody. There's a link on there. You'll see the unicorn there. The unicorn is very special to me. It's the national animal of Scotland, by the way. And it stands for purity and power. And part of the work is just purifying our lives inside and out. It's coming back to pure nature. So the unicorn represents that. Also, as I said, being the national animal of Scotland, we used to trade in unicorns. We had a coin which was called the unicorn many, many, many years ago. So you can arrange a chat with me so that we can go through how we might speak or go forward, or, you know, arrange some kind of coaching for you. You can also click on the link there to listen to my radio show, which is Alchemy 101, and that's on UK Health Radio. Now, I know that we have a lot of listeners in the US and Canada, so you'd be in good company if you click on that and listen to the show. And the show is very much about ways of transforming our lives in every aspect of our life. So I look at new ways, different ways, good ways, that's a judgment, but ways of doing business, as well as how we might improve our health, how we might improve our diet, everything.
Okay. So folks, there you have it. It is jjsalchemy.com. And you can go there, and there are some free resources that you can sign up for with JJ. You can get a free consultation. Is that correct? With JJ through the website, and just start listening to her radio show and finding out about how to find your pot of gold. All right. Well, JJ, it has been such a pleasure to have you here in the studio. Have we missed anything that you wanted to cover today that maybe you haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
No, I don't think so, Laurie. I think we've pretty much covered it. I mean, in essence, you know, alchemy is about using nature to find gold. The old alchemists were thought to be trying to get gold from lead, base metal. But actually, what they were doing in that process was recreating, recreating natural processes that might have taken thousands of years in nature. And they were trying to recreate that process in the laboratory. You know, those old laboratories with all those steaming vials and things like that. So alchemy really is about transformation, but also about transforming using that power of nature, using nature as your ally. And so that's why I use the term alchemy and the practical alchemist, because this isn't spirituality. This isn't religion. This isn't, anything like that. It's about being very practical, understanding what's going on right now, and practically doing things that will transform our lives and our bodies and ourselves so that we can find our own gold.
I absolutely love that. And I think as children, we're drawn to nature. I know I myself, as a young girl, you could always find me in a tree somewhere. We lived
Yeah,
in the
me too.
country, and I was always up in a tree reading a book or just hanging out in the tree. And I noticed I have a 4-year-old granddaughter, soon to be 4 years old, and she loves the outdoors. She would
Yeah.
much rather be outside. And I think somewhere along the way, as we grow into adulthood and we do the adulting thing where we're raising a family and working, we misplace that desire to be outside.
Yeah, and we're stuck in front of screens. Ditch the screens,
Yeah.
I know we're sitting here in front of a screen right now.
But this is the way we reach people, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we don't have to be there all day.
Right.
Today is a glorious day. I've already been outside. I will be going outside again. It's glorious sunshine. I will be going for my daily swim later. And yeah, I mean, just embrace the natural world and understand that nature, I think for a lot of us, nature has become a bit scary, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But really, it's not. It's our friend.
Right.
Look at what it gives us: food, beauty,
Air.
medicine, air. I know, everything, water.
Right.
It absolutely is our friend, and we are part of nature. We need to embrace that.
JJ,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Bright Spots. It's truly been a pleasure. Folks, please reach out to jjsalchemy.com. Connect with JJ and find your pot of gold. JJ, all the best to you. Have a glorious rest of your day.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
So, folks, that ends another wonderful episode with a fabulous guest all the way from Scotland here in the Bright Spot studio. I encourage you to come back each and every week for another episode. God bless you all, and I will see you soon.